to make sure that it is not swept under the rug and given to somebody like your friend Dusty May. Just hand him a job or something. Coach, how are you, brother?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Great, man. Great start to the year. It's been a while, first of all, since I was looking up. I'm like, man, he hadn't been on the show since we did a show with Mike Davis and John Leskowski, all three of you guys together, which was a blast. But I don't think we've had you on since then. So good to have you back.
Thanks, Jim. Coincidentally, we play Coach Davis this Saturday at our.
Are you kidding me?
Excited to see Coach and Antoine and Coach Marsh and Coach Rep, the whole band back together. I'm not excited to compete against them, but I'm excited to visit with them. So, but we can go back to talking about the Colts if you want to, Jim. I'm excited. I get all this Dolphin chatter and Buccaneers chatter down here. So,
well, there's nothing to talk about with the Colts, my friend. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
IU basketball would be a little different. We could talk about that. That's very cool and ironic that you play Detroit. At least it's a home game, I see. So you have him at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be a great, especially Antoine. I mean, he brings so much attention, and it's going to be fun.
He's still there, man.
Yeah, I know.
Did he lead the nation in three-pointers last year?
I want to say, Jim, he's broken Steph Curry's career three-point records, or he's close to doing it, or he did it single season. Yeah, he owns some NCAA records for threes and shooting.
Yeah, that's not always never fun to look at. But you guys, what a great start to your season. Let's see, 1, 2. Well, you lose to Mississippi, but that's a tough Power 5 battle. You follow that up with another SEC battle in which you go on the road in this. Well, I don't know what do they call it? It's not the swamp. What do they call it there? The muddy area.
Yeah, the area is the O-Dome, yeah, in the Florida, the O'Connell Center, the Exact Tech Arena. But yeah, Jim, we didn't have our second. Well, he's our leading scorer now, but he's a career Mike Force. He's using his COVID year. And so this is his 5th year. He scored about 1,300 points. We didn't have him at Ole Miss, and so we had some newer guys step up and play well. And we were in position to. We didn't play near as well as we did against Florida, but we were down 5 with about 2 minutes left, and our big guy got a technical for touching the rim on a layup. They turned that into a 6-point swing. So we were in position, but we learned from the loss, and then had a great night at Florida on Monday.
That's just a huge win, though. What does a win like that do for your program when you beat not just a Power 5 team, but an in-state Power 5 team, and one with Florida who has some tradition in basketball? They're the last team that won back-to-back national championships.
Yeah, Jim, we don't have our school. We have such a new history. And so anytime we can be on the national stage, it's going to help us in recruiting and building a fan base. And also those moments, I think of all the moments when I was a kid watching Indiana basketball and how much love I had for the Hoosiers growing up. And you need all these big moments where, you're captivating kids, you're captivating high school and also the people in the community. So we're trying to do that, and we need more big moments. But this was, hopefully a start of big things and not the pinnacle of our season. But it's huge for recruiting, especially because everyone's paying attention to the Gators and the Seminoles and the Hurricanes. So anytime you can go in and knock those guys off, us, UCF, USF, we're all fighting for that, I guess, second tier attention right now. But we have a really good basketball team. We feel like we can compete with anyone. And typically when you're able to go in and beat a Power 5 on the road, it's usually when they're in a down year. We beat Illinois a few years ago with Coach Underwood, and it was his worst team. So I think Kofi Cockburn was on his official visit that night. So I think we really assisted in the recruitment process where he knew he was going to get to play a lot after that night, shortly after Christmas a few years ago. So, but this is a good Florida basketball team. We think it's an NCAA tournament team. We think it's a top half SEC team. So it's numbers wise the best win in our school's history. So we have to use it to build on and capitalize on it.
Well, and it has to tell you that something about your own team, that you guys have a good squad that you can look forward to this season, knowing that, well, we're going to get better as long as you stay healthy. You guys should have a pretty healthy outlook.
We do. And the crazy thing is, Jim, with the COVID year, on paper, we start a freshman, 3 sophomores, and a junior. And out of the next 7 guys on our roster, I think one of them's a senior, and maybe there's one other junior, maybe 2 other juniors. I don't have it in front of me, but we have a really young roster. And in today's climate where there's never continuity, and every night you turn on the TV, there's 8 or 9 new players on each team. Just to have this group back again, it's been very rewarding, and it's so much fun to grow with these guys. So, it's a team that still has a much higher ceiling than we played, but we're excited because they're a great group of guys. They work hard. They have great camaraderie. So it's been a blast. Very, very lucky to have these guys.
You've been down there now for what, 5 years?
Yeah. Yes, Jim. This is year 5 after spending 3 in Gainesville. So. I've been a Floridian for 8 years, and
I was going to say, man, you're liking that sunshine. I hear you. It's I get it. I get it. It's been okay up here in Bloomington, but January's around the corner, and I don't know what it was, but when I was in school, I only was from an hour and a half south of Bloomington, but when I was in school, I felt like I was going to the North Pole. I'm like, what the hell? Why is it so cold here?
Yeah, I say it now. If you don't know, you don't know until you live in it. Then you don't realize what you've missed.
I don't miss that part of it all. Looking forward to it, man. So you've been in Florida for all this time. You've been at FAU. Not that I'm trying to get you out of there. Most coaches are always looking at some point to move up. Power 5 jobs, or is that something that, not that you're thinking about today, but when you sat down and said, hey, let's start this coaching thing, is there a place where you want to end up or wanted to end up? What's the thought process in that for a young coach like yourself?
Jim, to be honest, I've surpassed any expectations of coaching. Even when I went to Indiana as a manager, I was doing it. I wanted to be like my high school coach, Mark Barnheiser, who's in Lafayette now. So I just want to be a high school coach. And then when I found out there'd be an opportunity to maybe crack into the college coaching ranks, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. So I've surpassed all expectations. I don't really look at that type of stuff. You never say never, but I'm extremely happy here. And I came here because I wanted to build a program. I was tired of moving a lot. I love this level of basketball. There's still a level of purity and teaching and coaching and relationship based I guess practices. So it's just different, and it doesn't seem quite as transactional as it does at other levels. So right now I'm really enjoying this. Like I said, I love our staff. I love our guys, and obviously living in Boca Raton, Florida, and we're growing. So there's big upside here. We're not at a place that's stagnant. You show a glimpse of what you can be, and people would jump on board. We don't have the hundreds, a couple hundred years of history or the 150 years of history like a lot of the land grant schools. So we're building that now, but we have everything you need to be successful, and we're incrementally getting better in facilities and recruiting in every way, shape, or form.
Hopefully you've stayed clear of these hurricanes here in the last bit that have terrorized Florida. So I think you're far enough south that you've been able to avoid those this year.
We completely missed the big one. We actually, Jim, we left. I guess we played Ole Miss. I guess it was Friday night. These days, the season that runs on top of you. But I think we left. We got an early flight out, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, to beat the hurricane because all the flights would be canceled. We flew to Atlanta, got in at like 2 a.m. Bussed over to hotels in Atlanta were booked. We bussed to Oxford, Alabama, stayed the night, got up, drove to Birmingham, practiced at Sanford. Then we drove to Ole Miss. We were there a couple of nights. And then after the game, we still couldn't come back. So we went from Ole Miss back to Birmingham, stayed there, practiced, then went to Atlanta, and then eventually flew to Gainesville. So it was great for our guys to spend that time together, especially early in the season with no distractions. But yeah, the hurricane definitely affected our travel, but it ended up being a good thing.
One of the things, how many IU basketball managers, former, do you know of that have become coaches? And was Lawrence Frank the first, or was he just the first that made it big because he went to the NBA?
He definitely wasn't the first. He was the first one that went high profile. I think there were several guys just before me that, and back then the video room was how that was kind of the niche that we all broke into it. And back then, before Coach Izzo's video department kind of took over the NBA, a lot of the IU guys were going to the NBA as video coordinators and then moving up into the scouting and then into the front office. So there were a lot that did the NBA and then went on to be graduate assistants and video coordinators. So the group that I was with, Mike Schrage, who was the head coach of Elon, that's now at Duke, and Joe Pasternak and Matt Babrick went to Stanford. He was in my class. The guys that all wanted to get into coaching did it through the video room. And that's changed now, where now, video is a lot more common. So the entry level positions typically go to someone that has a relationship with an AAU program or recruits, things like that, it's just different now. I don't think I could have broken into the business through the video room now like I was able to then.
Yeah, and I remember, which I know that's a different situation, but if you were under Coach Knight and doing that was a school in of itself. And one of the things I was going to ask you, because I know that back then for his players, they all had notebooks, every night player, and they still have them. Most of them, I think, notebooks filled. Correct. Like it was just like they were going to a class. And most of them, I know Todd Leary still has his, these notebooks are filled with stuff from practice. And I really believe this should be compiled. Someone needs to get these from these guys, borrow them and compile them. There cannot be a better, I mean, there's no one else that can do it now. That's why you don't see the motion offense nearly as much, because no one could run it like Knight could and his proteges. But just to see that information out there, I think that would be cool.
There, and a lot of the managers that I was with, we all took daily notes on 3x5 note cards. So I have stacks of note cards, I have binders, and I read them. And somehow when I was cleaning out a storage closet years ago, one of the Coach Knight's notebooks, and it wasn't notes, but it was his typed notes from every practice, maybe in every game that season. But anyway, so what Coach Knight would do, he would watch the film and then he would speak into a microphone. And then when he'd hand the microphone to Marianne, I'm sorry, and Marianne then would type it up. So I have one whole season of a copy of those typed notes, and it's fascinating, just possession by possession. A couple times, before the season when I'm trying to get my thoughts together, I saw some where Coach had made a few comments about Fifes, whatever it was, not setting a good screen or not setting his man up. So I'd take a picture of it and send it to Dane and bust his chops over that type of stuff. But it was a masterclass every single day. And the Coach Knight's ability to teach and take very complex situations and make them seem simple is a true art form.
And you're a true local, man. You went to Eastern Green High School, which I didn't know that there was a Cincinnati, Indiana, which I know it must be about the size of a pin dot. But I just happened when I was looking over there, because Eastern Green is just, how far was it? 25 minutes south west of Bloomington, maybe?
Well, Jim, first of all, it's not, that Cincinnati is not where the Reds play, if that's what you're wondering.
Well, so. No, trust me, I know that.
No, the West, the Walmart. I grew up right on the Greene County, Monroe County line, so I think to that Walmart on the west side was maybe 7 or 8 miles max. I think it's Highway 54. We technically lived. I could throw a rock to Stanford, the small town just on the Monroe County line.
Not the university, university, folks.
Not the university. Yeah, not on the farm. It was a different type of farm. But yeah, right on the Monroe County, Greene County line. So, I grew up going to the Hyper every day on the weekends, going to Chuck Franz and Saturday morning basketball camps. My mom let me, or paid for me to go to one basketball camp a summer. So, I was going to Indiana camps and Coach Cruz's camps in Evansville. So, a true local. I played in the Hyper building 5,000 times before I ended up back at IU.
Do you know Mike Ross by chance?
I do. Mike Ross. Yeah. Mike Ross lived about a mile past me coming from
I was going to text him earlier. Good friend of mine that you were on the show
when I was in 7th, 8th grade, he was my ride home every day. And my brother, I had an older brother that was friends with his younger brother. So yeah, Mike and those guys, they were like the dudes I looked up to and playing open gym and all that. Tracy Hardesty and Mike Ross, all those guys. Unbelievable people. What a great background with the culture of basketball we had at Eastern Green. Those guys all loved it. In the gym, you worked a summer job and you went to morning workouts and open gyms. So there was a love of the game that I think permeated through the whole entire community, and especially Greene County with the White River Valley teams, the Bloomfield teams. It was really, really good basketball.
Well, Mike is still enjoying playing basketball, by the way. He plays at the Y, but they have a league there. But no, they don't just get some team. He's Mike, and I'll tell him, he brings in the ringers, baby. Last year on his team, Charlie, I can't think of Charlie's last name. I don't know why but is SID at Indiana in basketball. Big dude, played, but he also had Johnny Jager on the team amongst some other guys. But the other night, we're out at Mike Whitson's coach's show, and he's sitting there trying to recruit Jordan Halls. And I'm like going, man, he cannot play in a damn Y league. He just literally he just walked off the professional court literally months ago.
Yeah.
I would say, hell no, you can't play.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great general manager, or a great recruiter one.
Well, that's what he does. Yeah, he owns about 11 restaurants here now, so you'll get to eat for free whenever you're in Bloomington.
I'm gonna have to hit him up for free appetizer when I'm back home.
When you mentioned some guys, the time you were at IU was very cool. Very bad. There's good and bad, of course. You were there for the end of Bob Knight's career. Is that when you left your last year as well? Your senior year?
I was gone. Yeah, Jim, I was actually, when I left, I guess my last year was Coach Knight's last year, and I was going to go be a GA at Memphis under Calipari. Basically, a small stipend, but basically volunteer GA. And Coach Treelord said that they were going to be able to basically, if I came back to Indiana, they would pay for my graduate school and I could work with the team again. And then so I was in the process of actually moving back to Bloomington, and I got the offer at USC. So I was gone for about a month when everything went down. So I was unfortunately there Coach Knight's last 4 years. But yeah, it was, obviously we didn't have the success that he normally had, which was national championships and Big Ten championships. But I think we were second in the Big Ten. We made the tournament every year. I mean, I guess, he created such a bar that you couldn't have a couple years where you didn't win a Big Ten championship, but had a great experience. I mean, the Luke Recker transferring and the Jason Collier transferring, those guys leaving really, just hurt those teams, because we were always about one piece away from really making a run. And then obviously had AJ Guyton and some special players, and Michael Lewis, now the head coach at Ball State, and Fife. And
Charlie Miller.
It was a great Charlie. Yeah, Charlie and I still talk. He actually asked for some FAU gear yesterday. He's living in Dallas doing great.
Yeah,
Charlie's one of the people. His high school coach at South Miami comes to a lot of our games, and he's so it's been really cool, really reconnecting with Charlie and Andre Patterson and those guys, because they were older than me, but they were unbelievable people, and the camaraderie the IU family has amongst itself is really, really unique.
We need to get some FAU gear up here, baby. We'll wear it on the show.
Let's do it.
I was
text
talking
me the address. I'll get you.
I was talking to Charlie last night. Charlie's a great friend of the show. Does post-game shows with us as well. But yeah, great. He talks about Mike Schrage a lot. That because that's all in that group. And Charlie he's not coaching, but he's training. He's a student of the game. I love talking to him and listening to him, whether it's analysis or whatever. He is just so in depth in how he looks at it, but he explains it in layman's terms and just has a great eye for the game and a great love for teaching.
He does. And people don't realize how good of a player Charlie was. I know he had such high expectations coming to IU, but he was. And then we played at North Texas a few years ago, and he spoke to our team. And he's just, like I said, he's a better person than he is coach, teacher, player, anything else. He's just such a warm-hearted guy. So really, really appreciate Charlie.